Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Patrick's Netflix Binge and Purge, a phrase which here means to watch an entire season of something extremely quickly and then telling you about it in one 15-minute time span, as opposed to the original definition of it, which normally means cases for bulimia in which patients eat a lot of food very quickly and then proceed to throw it back up. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking about this and like, wow, this is going in a very different direction than it would usually happen before. Usually Patrick doesn't define things or talk about bulimics at the beginning of his Netflix binge and purges. This is important though, not because bulimics necessarily are very important in themselves, although sometimes they might be, but because today we are talking about a series which very much likes to define things, and was sort of a defining part of my childhood in that. Today's Netflix binge and purge is Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events on
bury
Netflix.
my mother, pale and slight. Bury my father with his eyes shut tight. Bury my sisters 2 by 2.
Series of unfortunate events.
And then when you're done, let's bury me too.
All right then, I guess we're just.
Do you know that one? It's one of my favorites. We can sing something else if you like. You start singing, I'll join in. I bet you have a beautiful singing voice. So, what are you down here for? If you came to get wealthy, just look around you. The monster's still bursting with riches. There's plenty for everyone. Just grab a pick and join in.
Alright, well, with that out of the way, I guess my intro's done. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Netflix binge and purge. We're talking about Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. What you just heard at the beginning of there was my impression of Lemony Snicket's intro to the series. Lemony Snicket in the series, by the way, is played by Patrick Warburton, and that is just a fantastic casting choice, and I enjoy it a lot. Do you know Patrick Warburton, Steve?
I don't know, like many.
He's the guy with this voice that you've definitely heard many times. You might know him as Crunk.
Okay, Crunk, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta give me, like, a character.
He's Crunk. He was someone from Tales of the Borderlands. He's Peter Griffin's wheelchair friend.
Brock Sampson?
He's also Brock Sampson, yes. He's that guy.
I gotta come back here later.
And, interestingly enough, he is not only the narrator of the show, but also, I guess it's a show. He's also, a character in the show who is deeply entwined with the story in ways that we are not sure about yet.
Okay.
So, this is a little bit interesting because in all of my Netflix binge and purchase, I don't think I've ever done, like, a nostalgia bait before. So, I'm a little bit torn on my review of the show. And I'll start off saying this. I personally really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Because I really enjoyed Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events growing up, and I basically have forgotten all about it.
Alright. I've only known a bit about the first one. I think we read the first one and we never did any of those.
Okay, I have read all of them, and I
thought you didn't read the last one.
I did not read the last one. I was about to get to that. Yes, I've read all of them except for the last one, which I just sort of didn't. I even have the book. I just sort of didn't read it. But yeah, and aside from some minor points in the first 3 books, I could not tell you anything about any of it. So this is coming from someone who cannot remember the story, but still sort of has, like, a fond memory of the series. So, with that in mind, let's jump in. So, the characters that we're looking at are the Baudelaire orphans, Violet, Klaus, and Sunny. Now, the first thing right off the bat is just how weirdly surreal and comical the whole series is.
Okay.
Basically, Klaus and Sunny are genius prodigies, basically.
And Sunny's a baby.
Yeah, Sunny, I'll get to Sunny in a minute, because Sunny is the most interesting one out of all of them, actually.
Yeah, I think
so. Violet is very good with inventions. She's very, like, mechanically minded, and she can build stuff like nobody's business, right?
So Mew from Danganronpa.
Sure.
But not as perverted.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. I haven't seen season 2 yet, which is out now.
Oh.
Which is also a first thing. Like, I only watched season 1, but season 2 is actually already out. So technically this goes against the rules I put in place for the series, but fuck it.
Wait, you had a rule of only a series of 1 season?
Yes. That's been a thing this whole time, if you hadn't noticed.
You did The Good Place.
Yeah, but I didn't know season 2.
Okay, then.
Season 1 was only available on Netflix, and then afterwards I looked it up.
Okay, then.
And then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, season 2 has already been completed, and 3 is, like, beginning, I believe, sometime soon.
Okay, then.
But yeah, that was my excuse for The Good Place, was basically a whoopsie-doopsie moment.
Okay, then.
Because I fully knew that this series had 2 seasons going in, but I always meant to do it for a while, I just never got around to it. and here I am. But yeah, Klaus is a very good researcher. He can read like an entire book like on law overnight, which is a plot point in the first book. And Sunny is the baby with very sharp teeth, and for some reason people can understand her sometimes. She has subtitles, which I always thought was really weird. Like, she's one of those people who's perfectly like knowing and articulate, but only some people can understand what they're saying. You remember Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
Didn't watch much of it, but try and refresh my memory.
Do you remember Coco? The one that goes Coco. Yeah, she is this series Coco.
It's like C-3PO and R2-D2.
Sure, I've never seen Star Wars, but if that is a good, if some people can understand what they're saying.
R2-D2 just does beeps.
Yeah, okay, and people can understand the beeps, I assume.
Only
C-3PO
yeah,
can?
just like how I think only Han and the robots can understand Chewbacca.
Okay. Alright, well, this episode is definitely going on long, because I've not even started talking about the books yet, and we're 6 minutes in. But that's fine, because we need episodes to go long for these Metroidvania-esque games. Oh yeah, so another thing you'll notice very quickly is how much Patrick Warburton just doesn't want you to watch the series. It's like, you have no idea how fucking sad the series is about to be.
Oh yeah, I remember that from the first book.
Yeah, Lemony Snicket is also just like, if you're in the mood for a happy tale in which everything ends up well for the people in the end, well, I'm sorry to say that Violet Klaus and Sonny Baudelaire don't see many good memories throughout this book, if any at all, that you would consider nice. The very small hello, False Knight. The very small times of happiness that they see in the story are merely false flags to get you into a false sense of security for the horrors that are about to happen to them throughout this entire thing. And he's just selling you really hard on the idea of not watching the series, which I thought was pretty entertaining right off the bat. So getting back to originally, so at the very beginning of this
cute thing, by the way.
Another cute part. So yeah, going back to what I was doing at the beginning, where I was defining random bullshit. That's because they do that a lot in the series, and I'm not really sure if there's a reason for it yet. Again, I've only watched season 1, even though I plan on going back and watching season 2 at the end of it all, because once again, I really enjoyed the series. So yeah, it's like, hello, today we're going to be talking about something terrible. A word which here means, and then like blah, 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 blah. They go into definitions, which very much describes the Baudelaire orphans. So basically they are on a beach, and they are greeted by their temporary caretaker. His name, I believe, is Mr. Poe. Mr. Poe is one of the dumbest people I've ever met in my entire life. He is definitely the root cause for a lot of the Baudelaire orphans' misery.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, not him directly. I'm sure you remember. I'm sure you remember who specifically is.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in a minute. And now you have to murder the cute thing. So he comes up, and his wife is a newspaper journalist, and she says, like, you children should be happy. I mean, yes, sure, your parents are dead and your entire mansion is burned down, but you made front page news. Some people work their entire life to make front page news. And they're greeted with Mr. Poe's sons, one of whom I don't remember the name of, but the other one's name is Edgar. So I'm very happy about that. And they are just convinced that the Baudelaire orphans murdered their parents and burned their mansion down.
Aww.
Yeah, although we see precious little of them, as we are very quickly taken to the Baudelaire orphans.
To their funeral?
To the Baudelaire orphans' very first caretaker, a man by the name of Count Olaf.
I like how you use the word first caretaker.
I mean, like, I don't mean to spoil anything, but there's 13 books in this series, so yeah, things don't stay stable for the Baudelaire orphans is a nice way of putting it.
I bet you do.
Alright. Oh, who is this creeping out of the darkness? Why, you're looking grim, a strange, grim, empty face, and a wicked-looking weapon. Something important has drawn you into the hollowness corpse, but I won't ask what. Perhaps the reason you found me is because you need my help? Say no more, friend. I'm going to give you a gift, a nasty little spell of my own creation. It is the perfect for a little one like you. Ooh!
I guess I'll take it, thank you.
Yep, there you go. And then he is either their fourth uncle 3 times removed or their third uncle 4 times removed. You've consumed the vengeful spirit. Blah, blah, blah. Tap B to unleash a giant, like,
Kamehameha.
Sure. Kamehameha. I remember that. Anyways, so we'll keep going on.
Yeah. I guess I can do that.
They meet Count Olaf, and it's like, it's like, your parents' will said that you were supposed to be with your closest living relative, and he's only a few blocks away, so it's him. And he's like, does he really? And Klaus just whispers to Violet, does he really think that's what closest living relative means? And another thing is Mr. Poe trying to define things, and Klaus is like, we know what that word means. We're not idiots.
Butterscotch.
So they meet up with Count Olaf, and Count Olaf is a terrible, awful man who puts them through really awful situations. But a lot of people don't believe them because they think they're just spoiled orphans that are used to, like, a cushy lifestyle. Even though they're very hardworking and can appreciate all the stuff that people do for them.
Also, this uses up my soul meter, so I can't just constantly spam that and heal.
Yep. So then, after a while, things get a little fucky-wucky happening. And allow me to spoil the first book's plot. There's going to be a lot of spoilers here for the first 4 books of a series of unfortunate events, but it's okay because I said so. So let's move on.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, Count Olaf's plan here is to marry the Violet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is very interesting because she is she's underage.
Yeah.
The whole point of the books is that the Baudelaire orphans need to just basically survive until Violet turns 18 in, I think it's 4 years. I believe she's 14 at the beginning of it all. And yeah, so what Count Olaf is doing is, since he's the legal guardian, he can give her permission to wed. And if she marries him, he has access to the fortune, obviously. So he kidnaps Sonny and puts him in, and puts her into a very precarious and dangerous situation, to which they basically say, you need to knock the projectiles.
No, I need to wait.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. My bad. And then, so she agrees to marry him eventually. Again, this is each book rather, is 2 episodes long with 2 hours each. So it's much better than, the movie, pardon me, with Jim Carrey, where they summarized 3 books in an hour and a half. Yeah, it was. The movie was not good, but I'd say the series does a much better job.
Yeah.
So basically, oh, there you are. I was watching you while you slept, and I must have slipped away from myself. I woke up and found you disappeared. You were a surprising one. Ooh. Actually, I wanted a small favor of you. You see, there is a certain creature lurking just above us in the heart of this temple. Oh, well, yet another surprise. You've slain that creature before I even asked. I scarcely deserve such a friend like you. You're immortal. Ooh. And look, the gate between us has opened. Ooh. I'm sure you're eager to move on. Farewell and have faith that whatever you're seeking, it will find you.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yep. So anyways, they end up in this play. And Count Olaf's plan this whole time is to hire Justice Strauss, his next door neighbor, who is a legal person who can wed 2 people, but who also had dreams of becoming a star. So what he did was he looked at her and said, like, what if I told you I could make you a star? And basically tricks her into being the priest or officiator. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
For the wedding. Sorry, I missed you. Want to pop up and dirt mouth? Yeah, the corner for blah, blah, blah.
This just means, like, he's gone, so you had to buy that up top.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, Justice Strauss agrees because she thinks it's just a play, despite how much the Baudelaire orphans are yelling at them and saying, like, no, please, this is his plan. Don't let us get married. But she's like, oh, nonsense, blah, 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 blah. So eventually, the plan ends up just kind of almost working. They both sign the legal document, and then he just kind of stops the play in the middle of it all. He's like, yes, hello everyone. Oh, by the way, I also forgot to mention, Count Olaf is played by Neil Patrick Harris, and
What the fuck?
he steals the show in this fucking Netflix series.
Why did you open with that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
A lot of people will just be like, okay, I'm not watching this. I want to watch this.
Well, I opened with the whole Patrick Warburton plays Lemony's Naked. So I opened with one Patrick.
Okay, fair enough.
And myriad of Patricks in this series, so I very much appreciated it. But basically Neil Patrick Harris plays Count Olaf, and his performance is just fucking phenomenal, I gotta say. I love it so much. And yeah, he just stops the play in the middle of it all, and he's like, all right, everyone, we're done. There's no need to keep the play going anymore. And everyone's like, wait, what? But like, we want to watch the rest of the play. It's like, no, as you can see, and then he reveals his evil plan to everyone, which I think in some way should invalidate the plan, right?
Probably.
He had evil intents going into the beginning of this. But then he actually rings up the people. He's like, all right, Violet married you, now let Sonny go. And he says, okay. And then he goes onto his walkie-talkie, and then he says, drop the baby. Just in front of this entire crowd. Like, I'm pretty sure you just told your henchman to murder a baby.
What's wrong with that?
I'm pretty sure it would invalidate any sort of, like, legally binding marriage contracts and, like, money he would be able to have. But anyways, the marriage did not end up going through because, and this is the actual reason she went with, Violet signed the contract with her left hand even though she was right-handed.
What the fuck?
And apparently somehow Klaus then ends up going on a long rant about the legal system, which Patrick Warburton then like just steps in, which he does in occasion. He kind of just steps in like, well, yeah, whatever, you don't need to see this part, I guess.
Alright, so now on the map you can see where I am. I bought a compass thing.
Yeah, okay, cool. And did you also bought more waypoints, right? Or no?
What do you mean waypoint? Oh yeah, I
Like
bought Bench was the only other one I bought. I bought a thing to increase my recovery time.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's pretty useful.
So yeah, getting back to it. Let's see, man, how far are we even into this episode? This might be yeah, we're already 17 minutes into the episode.
How far in are you?
I mean,
Do you want to make it 2 parts?
I suppose I bet I could sum up the next 2 books in one episode. I'll finish up this. Basically, that ends up working, and then Count Olaf shuts down the whole stage, and then ends up escaping through a trap door at the bottom of the stage. And then he's basically just like, "I'll be back, you orphans. I'll be able to find you no matter where you go." And spoiler alert, he does that a lot.
Yeah.
For the next few episodes. So I suppose I'll just touch on like a little bit more of some interesting stuff that I want to talk about in the series. So, as I said, Neil Patrick Harris steals the fucking show in this, and he actually plays a bad actor. Which is hilarious, just watching a good actor play a bad actor. Because Count Olaf is classically seen as an awful actor. And it ends up getting revealed that he takes the place of Mr. Poe's assistant. Which, again, he is one of the dumbest people that you could ever see. And he's one of the reasons why the Baudelaire orphans have had such a hard time in life, was because Mr. Poe just cannot be reasoned with, because he's stupid and he's very career-minded, so he wants to dump the orphans off as fast as possible and into a new location.
Anyone wants to deal with orphans?
Yep.
I don't.
Also, good things of note, Count Olaf's henchman crew. His henchman crew, which my favorite, the guy with hooks for hands. Which is just very awkward for him a lot. Let's see. Oh yeah, I decided to go and look back up summary. I decided to go back up and look up summaries of the books again, and apparently at one point there was a henchman of indeterminate gender. Which I assume they are not going to bring back for the Netflix series.
Why?
I assume it might get a little offensive.
We just don't know their gender.
Yeah. Oh, nice, Steve. You got baited. I mean, I suppose it just touches on a nerve of things, I would suppose, because
Okay.
I've watched the first 4 books, which reminds me I have to summarize 3 episodes in the next one, not 2. So, yeah, we haven't seen him yet, and usually, we haven't seen he, she, or whatever gender they choose to go by yet, whatever pronouns they choose to use, so I'm assuming the henchman of indeterminate gender is just not showing up in the series at all.
Aww.
And I do want to say this is another thing. Like, I actually really like that I'm talking about Series of Unfortunate Events while we're playing Hollow Knight, because again, it's a hilarious dichotomy of comedy and just sadness going on. It's like comically bad for the Baudelaire orphans, and at the same time, you're just like, it's pretty goddamn funny watching.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris just being comically unaware of what's like actually going on usually, but at the same time, everyone's so dumb that he can just do that. The Baudelaire orphans are the only ones smart enough to understand what's going on. He does the thing constantly where he's just like, you know, I'm saying this. Oh, wait, no, did I say that? What I actually meant was this. You know, something that any rational, sane human being would just be like, you're an idiot. And then just capture him. Also, there's you
need to have evidence, I think.
Well, yeah, but they're not even suspicious at all.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Oh, I remember this part.
Yeah, you can attack them. Yeah. And basically, obviously, well, not obviously, if you've ever seen Series of Unfortunate Events, you know that there's a deep mystery with the Baudelaire orphans. And you don't really know much about what's going on in the series yet. Even watching all of Season 1 definitely raised more questions than it answered. Which is cool, because Season 2 is out, and Season 2 is going to be the next 5 books. So far we have 9 books worth of content done, and I assume Season 3 is going to be the last season with the last 4 in the series. But I actually remember 1 or 2 small things about the series, and I'm actually noticing it. Like, there's small Easter eggs happening in the background that I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really enjoying that fact. But anyways, we have more than...
1 second.
There we go. We have more than gone over our usual 15-minute bullet that we usually go for. So I'll talk a lot more about the mystery, the B-plot, and the next 3 books in the next episode. So if I could summarize this whole episode, I definitely recommend watching Series of Unfortunate Events. If you're interested, I've only told you about the first book so far, so that was only the first 2 episodes we've gone into. Next episode, I'll definitely be getting into more. If you enjoyed me talking about this and you're excited for more, that subscribe button's down below to let you know when the next episode comes up. Also, the likes and comments, we appreciate. Steven, sending off words.
Alright, so every like we get for this video is you sign a petition to have me play the gender-neutral character in Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh god, that's beautiful. What if they just bring him in Season 3? Oh wait, what if they bring him in Season 2? I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't... Do you know when he comes in? Or
yes!
she?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
He's supposed to come in, or she, sorry. The Henchman of Indeterminate Gender, I've definitely seen mentioned in Book 3.
Okay, then.
And this person was not in Book 3, so...
Alright, whatever. We're rambling. Goodbye, everyone.
Yes, goodbye, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode for more of Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.